Here we go!
You're listening to the Video Game Show on URN.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is it. This is the final episode of the University Radio Nottingham Video Game Show for this year.
For us.
For us, for the current group of hosts, which includes the man currently talking, named Mark. How you doing, Mark? I'm doing okay. I got Dylan to my left. How you doing, Dylan?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. Sad that it's nearly over, but
Well, we got a knockout hour left, haven't we, Jack?
Yeah, we do indeed. Of course, last week you weren't here last week.
I was somewhat indisposed with what I believe they call a 6-alarm hangover.
Yeah, but me and Dylan and Henry, we were previewing E3, and of course, E3 happened over that weekend and over a few weekdays up till Tuesday.
the show floor was up till Thursday.
The show floor, I believe, is Tuesday to Thursday.
Yeah.
So, and all the press conferences, which is where all the big announcements at E3 happen, where, you know, it's the time of the year where the majority of video games in the world come together to show off what they've got in store for the coming years, make big announcements, show gameplay stuff, announce consoles, perhaps even. And so, we sort of figured we did a prediction show last week. So this week, let's just go through the press conferences and let's talk about what has actually happened.
Yeah.
As sort of, like, I think it's fitting that we get to finish the video game show with Electronic 3.
Yeah, the biggest game event, really, of the year. I guess Gamescom, maybe you could say, is nearly on our level, but
Yeah,
I think this is probably the one most
in terms of
like
stand out. Oh, this is what we've got planned
100%.
ahead coming to next year, basically. And it's essentially
You look at it as maybe like the start of the video game season, so to speak, because it's like this is what we've got coming up next in this next sort of gaming year.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there were even people who gave a press conference who pulled and every game you saw here today will be out by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So, it is very much a summary of what's happening and what's going on and what's going to happen. And it's a very exciting time of year into video games, I think.
Yeah.
Like you said, there are other shows, aren't there? There's Gamescom and there's TGS and there's like the PlayStation Experience and all that stuff. But none of them quite have the same holy crap factor of everybody getting together and announcing new games and stuff.
This has a lot of the public appeal as well. I think more people know about this than the other ones.
Sure.
Who wouldn't necessarily know about other parts of video gaming.
Yeah, and 100%. So the very first press conference was EA on Saturday at 8 p.m. UK time.
Yeah, it was kind of a bit rubbish.
It was an EA press conference.
Yeah.
Exactly what it was.
It was a poor start, but I think everybody expected it. It's EA. Nobody.
Yeah. So Electronic Arts, obviously, are not only do they produce lots of video games that aren't sports, but EA Sports is apparently a license to print money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
basically.
so, of their hour and 20-minute conference,
About half of it was
easily
what we
half.
talking about.
You say hour and 20 minutes. We were watching for an hour and 20 minutes purely because they didn't actually say it was over.
Yeah.
It was it was max an hour of actual conference, and then they were just talking for a bit without being like, oh yeah, by the way, don't watch now. It gets worse.
So my understanding is actually they pulled that same stunt last year as well, but we just didn't notice. It seems that their thing now, because EA moved their conference outside of E3. It happens at the same time, but they now have their own thing called EA Play. It's down the street from it. So they control their own message in their own area with their own people, and it's all very EA focused. And so apparently when they finished their press conference, instead of saying, and that was it, we'll see you guys next year, they just keep going forever, but get really boring.
Well, because they started it off they finished, and then they had I think one of the better parts of their talk this year was the Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
And they had the live gameplay from that.
Because they did that last year, was it, with Battlefield 1?
Yeah, they did it with Battlefield 1.
When they had it all come in.
So they did the same thing with Battlefront, and it was kind of fun for a bit, and then they carried on just having a bit of a chat with the digital influencers, as they kept calling them.
Yeah, digital influencers, one of the big things of this E3, and I really, really resent it. It's what an obnoxious term.
Yeah.
For YouTubers.
It's accurate though, isn't it? Because I mean, I think YouTubers have a really big effect on how games are seen.
Oh, hugely.
Because you can get a fairly mediocre game that gets a massive following purely because it's fun to watch someone else play it. But then when you play it yourself, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, no, I don't want this in my life.
So yeah, EA had. So they showed off the new story modes for Madden.
Yeah.
So that was Madden Long Shot, where they brought in the same kind of story mode as in FIFA.
Yeah.
They showed off the sequel to the FIFA story mode, the return of Alex Ryder.
Alex Hunter.
Alex Hunter, there it is. Which, interestingly, watching some American coverage of E3, there were a lot of people who didn't know that. They were like, is this Alex Hunter guy real? Is this an actual footballer? Like, what? Because the way they position it, with
because they had all the talks with like actual people,
well,
didn't they?
actual videos of like real life footballing pundits talking about how Alex Hunter. I keep trying to think Alex Ryder. Talking about Alex Hunter is an incredible footballer. Just a lot of confusion about that. And then also they had their NBA Live 2K18, which is them still not quite realising that they don't make a good basketball game. They should just leave it to 2K.
I completely agree. I mean, I'm a massive fan of the 2K games, and I feel like with what they're doing with their NBA or the NBA Live, they emphasise a lot on the like thing where you create your own character and then you can play on the streets and do all of this. You've been able to do that on 2K for like the last 3 or 4 years. So
It's, like
I'm not sure about it, and I feel like the Madden story mode is certainly something that was needed for that game. I feel like a lot of people were calling for it, especially since they added it into FIFA last year.
Yeah.
Why not go and expand yourself into other games that you currently develop? And
it was
do
inevitable,
that, so.
wasn't it? Because it was clear that the
did
FIFA
really well,
one was
didn't
it was a test run to see if people like
And
it.
I mean, they were showing it off in 4K and being like, look at how beautiful this looks and look how stunning we can get all of this face capture and whatever and make it look real to life and stuff. So I guess that was alright.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Their sports stuff is always. Oh, it's always so boring, but they have to do it because it makes them so much money, and E3 is still technically kind of an investor's show. The idea is for people to get an understanding of what these companies are doing. So even though it's dull and it doesn't really show well, they have to do their sports stuff. But they didn't just have sports stuff, did they?
Yeah, they had some other things.
They did. They had a lot of Battlefront 2.
Yeah,
that looks cool.
A lot of
that looked pretty rad though.
Straight
it
off
was
the bat,
incredible.
It, really good.
It was the same with Battlefront 1. It looked visually amazing.
Yeah.
It had the same sort of like, hot damn, this looks good.
Like those Star Wars assets apparently scale up real nice.
Yeah. And I think, to be fair, the game looks more fun, but it's hard to judge, really, isn't it, until you play it? Because my issue with Battlefront...
It looks a hell of a lot like that first one, but with more stuff in it. Maybe that's actually going to be awesome.
Because my issue with Battlefront 1, I didn't play it much, but I played like the beta and stuff, and I've played it at people's houses, is it plays quite poorly, I thought, anyway. It's kind of just not fun to run around in it.
No.
Well, there's not a huge differentiation between a lot of like the guns in Star Wars and stuff, is there?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so it's not like Battlefield where there are loads of different.
You can really change what you're doing in that, yeah. But this, it whenever I played it, it didn't feel very fluid or anything. And it wasn't just the fact that there's nothing in Battlefront 1 that put me off. It was also I didn't enjoy playing it. So I hope like maybe they'll have changed it a little bit, so Battlefront 2 will be better. But at least it does look like there's actual things in it.
And that story mode looked pretty good, to be fair.
Yeah.
Janina Gavankar, whatever her name is, she seemed quite genuine. I quite liked her.
She seemed to really like it, yeah.
Yeah, like...
She was very enthusiastic about the whole thing as well.
Maybe she's just a good actor, but...
So so it turns out, so she was on a panel of, on Giant Bomb's late night show from the first night of E3. She was one of, like, the many, many sets of guests they had on that night. Yeah. With, like, a bunch of other people. She seemed like a lot of fun. Yeah, I think she's really, really genuine, and like she was talking about how she was absolutely nervous, but she really loved it, and like so I looked her up, and she is actually like a tech influencer. Like she does a bunch of stuff for like other YouTube channels and TV shows and stuff, and is like a big techie, and is like she's a real life nerd.
Cool.
But yeah, she seemed fun. I thought that was a good bit, getting her on stage with all the stormtroopers and having her talk about Battlefront, but being all like, well, we all know we didn't like the first one, so EA sorted it out.
It was better than the other people they had presenting, because they had the normal evil, what's his name? They had the normal evil guy who
the replicant.
Yeah.
Is it Andrew something?
Andrew something,
Not Andrew House, it's the other Andrew.
The other Andrew, yeah. But he's always a bit scary, and like he's very confident and he knows what he's doing, but I think that makes it worse. It just is like, okay, I don't know what you're trying to do, but it doesn't feel okay. And then the other guy who's just boring and...
Yeah. So we can't spend too much time on each of these. So they also announced A Way Out, which is a game from the people who made Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, and it is a purely cooperative split-screen experience.
Which I think is very unique, because I don't think we've had like a pure co-op game or a very good one in, you know, several years now.
Since A Tale of Two Sons, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like, as well, with the fact that, you know, they showed it off and they had that one person will be playing and they'll be trapped in a cutscene and the other guys walking around in the background, like it's trying to escape and do some other stuff.
You kind of have to look at the gameplay video to understand what it's all about, don't you?
It's very tailored to the split screen. Like, the split screen itself is part of it.
Yeah,
rather than just being two screens.
Yeah, it's like variant split screen as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
which is
really cool. Yeah. I think that was one of the better things they had. It looks like technically really interesting, and also like a fun story.
Yeah. I think really cool.
We all when it was on were just like, this looks pretty cool.
What is this? Yeah, but then we literally have to run through it pretty quickly. Yeah, so Sunday at 10. Oh yeah, they hadn't even seen Payback.
Looked Fast and Furious boring.
They looked like Fast and Furious. I was more intrigued by Payback than the last few Need for Speed games.
Yeah.
It looked like you could get that on a sale and have a really fun time with it.
Yeah, definitely.
And like not have to worry too much about getting online and getting really good at racing and stuff, because it looks like a lot of the challenge is going to be big set piece moments. Which is a lot more my kind of racing game.
No, that's true.
And all the takedown stuff they put in it as well looked a lot like Burnout,
which is a good game.
And it's being made by the people who used to make Burnout, so it should really just be called Burnout. But, you know, whatever. It's not like Burnout was better than Need for Speed all the time and no one realised.
People like franchises, don't they?
I'm not bitter that Burnout was shut down after Paradise. So Microsoft, Sunday, 10 p.m. BST. Microsoft was a cracker of a conference. I've heard some bad press about it on the web, but I thought it was wicked.
Reddit is really having a go at it, but I don't know why.
There was a lot of exclusive. We've got 42 games that we're going to show off here, and they're all like exclusive and world premieres.
It was incredible.
And they would just chop and change, and they would go through it. And you know, we knew that they were maybe not going to keep inside that time limit. I think they went over it just a bit, but you know, they were cracking through those games, and some of them that they were releasing actually looked really cool as well.
They had a lot of cool looking games. It's hard. We can't even go through them. There's 42 games.
So like their big thing was open the show.
Yep.
Here's the next step of Xbox, the most powerful video game console ever made. It's the Xbox One X, which is what Scorpio is now.
Yeah.
They didn't announce the price point right away, which I think was a wise choice because it was a bit high compared to what people were expecting, and compared to the PS4 Pro. So what I didn't realise is it is actually like $100 more than the PS4 Pro is. So it's
like
not
£449. Is that not like the final price that they've said for the UK?
$499. I haven't seen the UK price.
I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that it was going to be marketed at $449.
Which is pretty good.
That's £100 more than the PS4 Pro though. Again, which is why I think they waited till they'd shown off all these games in 4K.
Because their big thing was,
we've got this console that can do native 4K. It's going to look great. It's got all this power in it. So then they just showed off a bunch of really good looking games, and everything was, this is running in 4K. This has all these Scorpio and Xbox One X enhancements. This has got this. This has got that. If nothing else, it was a pretty conference.
It was a good conference to watch as well, because there was no dragging their feet. There was no unnecessary padding by talking about a game.
They got Phil Spencer out there a couple of times, and that's always fun because I really like Phil Spencer.
Yeah, I enjoy him.
He MCs really well.
Yeah,
he is much better than Don Matrick and the weird early Xbox One era with that. Yeah, Phil Spencer seems like a genuine.
Major Nelson, isn't it? The one they used to have. Yeah. He still does a lot of the Xbox stuff, but they keep him for the Xbox people now.
He's head of community for Xbox or something weird, isn't he?
He actually runs it pretty well, but he was always a bit odd on stage.
Yeah.
The only weird part they had was the shoutcasting.
I was about to say that. The shoutcaster that they had come up on stage and start shoutcasting what was happening.
They had
a lot of esports this year as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, they had a coolish looking esport game, like a battle royale style thing. I thought it looked a lot like PlayerUnknown's Battleground, but sort of a bit more cartoony, a bit more ability based.
But my understanding is the Darwin Project is that it plays a lot better than it looks.
I could. From what we saw, it looked visually, it looked a bit, but it looked like it would be fun to play.
Yeah,
I was pretty hyped for it.
Yeah, I think they had so much. Did they have any really big announcements?
I think one of the bigger announcements was, I don't think it was an exclusive, but it was, of course, linking back to EA. They had Anthem, which was EA's new IP that they're coming out with.
Yeah,
and they showing it off in 4K on the Xbox One X. So
the new BioWare thing, so
it's really good.
BioWare have apparently, since they finished Dragon Age Inquisition, they've been working on making a new game that's been called Project Dylan up until now. They want to call it is in the Bob Dylan of video games, or is in Dylan Robson. You know, but yeah, they showed that off. The name was revealed at EA Play.
Yeah.
And they said, we're going to show you gameplay tomorrow at Microsoft. And then, Microsoft got it out on stage, and it looked pretty good.
It looked incredible.
It looked pretty
Looked a
much
lot like Destiny.
Destiny.
It looked like
This
Destiny
is
with
it.
Iron Man suits.
Yeah.
Which, that's the caveat that makes you go, yeah.
Doesn't that make it sound good, doesn't it? Because, like,
Destiny.
Destiny, we've all had good things to say about it. Other than the story, we've all been like, actually, it's a really enjoyable game to play. So if you add Iron Man suits to that, and possibly
BioWare's writing.
and BioWare, exactly, that's what I've been saying to people as well. And we know BioWare can write a good game. They have good stories.
They do good dialogue. I mean, say what you want about some of the stories they've crafted recently. If nothing else, they do pretty good dialogue.
Yeah, and I think
There aren't going to be wizards coming from the moon, Dylan.
there were wizards. One of the Iron Man suits teleports in at the end and does some magic, and I want to know how it's going to work. If it's going to be Destiny, sort of like, oh, we get the power from the Guardian, or if it's going to be like, this is like
Mass
techno
Effect
wizard. I don't know.
style, like zero energy fields or whatever. Yeah.
It looks. But what I was going to say, I think it was one of the visually most impressive games we saw.
Yeah,
'Cause
like when
that
he
cutscene
leapt
they
off
did
that cave and
Yeah.
Iron Man threw that other thing. And it's like, whoa.
The entire thing looked like a sort of animated film, like one of those really weird machinima, whatever they're called.
Yeah, what other big announcements? Yeah, like
They had Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Weirdly they got that.
Yeah.
Before
I guess it's
Ubisoft.
just 4K trying to show it off, and I mean, it is weird that they got it before the actual developers of that.
Yeah,
game.
Ubisoft also got to because Ubisoft hadn't actually announced it yet, had they? So that was it being announced.
Yeah,
at
that was world
Microsoft's
premiere.
show.
And it sort of
Which
took
is
the
strange.
sting out of like Ubisoft being like, we've got this Assassin's Creed, I guess.
Yeah.
I think they had a bit more gameplay at
Yeah.
Ubisoft, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they had
it was very much a epic. Let's show off just how good this looks. Trailer at Microsoft.
Which I think-
and then
No, they had a weird trailer and then gameplay at Microsoft, and then at
Yeah.
Ubisoft they had another different trailer. I don't think they had gameplay at Ubisoft.
I think it might have been like in
It's
the
all blurred
post
into
show.
one, man.
They might have had some gameplay in terms
Yeah.
of like you could go and look at it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that was very much like you mentioned earlier, Mark. That was very much the Xbox and Microsoft conference was. Look, we've got 4K. We can do it all now. Look at this. Look at how good it looks. And
yeah,
also,
Yeah.
like Forza Motorsport 7 got announced with the world apparently never been done before. It's the first time
Yeah.
a brand new car has been announced at a not motor show.
Oh,
what was it?
cool.
It was a
Apparently,
Porsche 911 GT2 RS. got
RX
announced.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you just nailed it, Jack. I think that's
Nice.
exactly what it's
Which
called.
it what a way to come out and be like, we've got, we're pioneering brilliance with our new console, and we've got this.
And this car.
Yeah, we've got this
Sick
high-end
Porsche.
game console that's more powerful than anything else. What better way to say, look, we're
Look
doing
how
this.
wet these roads are.
This is this is Porsche's new car. This is their most powerful car that they've put out. So yeah.
Yeah.
And also, one thing that they did mention, just to wrap up with the Xbox chat, was that they are supporting backwards compatibility for
The original Xbox, yeah.
Which-
That was the winner of the conference, I think.
yeah.
Is also now apparently referred to internally as the OG Xbox.
Yeah, they did refer to it as that.
So you should do this as well.
Yeah.
Giant Bomb's late night show from night 2
Yeah.
opens with an hour one-on-one chat with Phil Spencer.
Oh,
Really?
cool.
Where he goes on their show every year
Yeah.
and just sort of has like a one-on-one chat with Jeff Gerstmann, and Jeff Gerstmann is an incredibly good interviewer who asks him some pretty tough questions, and he's super open and honest about it.
Yeah.
And it is well worth a look, because Phil Spencer, it seems like a real genuine bloke.
Yeah.
If nothing else. Jack, before we get into the other too many conferences, should we listen to a song?
Yes, we will listen to a song. Our first song coming up today is Set Fire to the Rain by Adele.
And we're back. So, quick other things from Microsoft, because they did so many games and I forgot some of them. Metro Exodus. They got to announce world premiere the next Metro game, so the sequel to Metro 2033 and
Yep.
Metro Last Light.
Apparently open world.
Yeah.
I've seen.
Those other games are sort of open world, I think.
Yeah, I've seen something saying this is a actual open world one.
That would make sense. It was a
cross-continent level sort of.
what a showcase for
Yeah.
that. Yeah, 'cause I
Yeah.
think those other games are kind of open world in that you can explore an open tunnel system,
Yeah,
as opposed because
because you're proper like above ground.
yeah,
and
it's not like
running
a
around and
full huge world. But what what a showcase for your brand new 4K console
That was the first thing they had,
Oh,
wasn't it?
man.
That was the
Yeah.
opening trailer, and it
That was
looked
them
cool.
being like,
yeah.
okay, so we've got this 4K console. It's called the Xbox One X. Let's look at this.
Here's this beautiful game.
Wicked.
Yeah.
It looked like, I don't even know about the gameplay. It looked like a Metro game.
Yeah.
Which, you know, if you like Metro games, then that's cool. If you don't, then that's also cool. But it looked like visually
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, that machine clearly has some power behind it. Well, obviously, it's the most powerful one you can get when it comes out. But yeah, you could see from those sort of things, it can do a lot.
Yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
cool.
It's a beefy bit of kit, and apparently, another thing I've heard also 343. I've got some things in the works for going back and doing some stuff to some other stuff for Xbox One X support.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're going to make Halo Wars. I know they said they're going to make Halo Wars 2,
Yeah,
4K and stuff like that.
I don't know. I don't know quite what they are doing. Yeah, I mean, all I know is that these 343 have said they're going to be doing some stuff. So
Cool. They're also releasing they announced it on the floor rather than in the game. There's a actual canon storyline thing coming out for it, where the Banished, the bad guys from Halo Wars 2, rediscover the Flood, which is actually kind of big because Halo Wars 2 is set just a few years after the end of Halo Wars 5, of Halo 5 even.
yeah,
And them discovering the Flood seems pretty bad.
yeah.
So
The Gravemind's going to come back and rhyme again. He's going to drop his hot iambic pentameter. So yeah, then Monday morning at 5 a.m. was Bethesda.
yeah,
It was all right.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
fine.
it was I
Like
think that's the
last
best way to
year, they
describe
had a
it,
lot of cool stuff to show off. This year, they had a Wolfenstein 2 trailer that looked awesome. The Wolfenstein 2 thing,
Yeah,
which they
looked
finished
really
the show
cool.
with, looked incredible. A bizarre trailer, like a really
The metal dog thing is
yeah, like it opens with like a fake like period advert about making sure you get your big Nazi hounds that they have in the first game.
Yeah.
That then cuts to like a bunch of weird gameplay, but the bits of gameplay clips like cut really weirdly.
Yeah, and then there's that weird bit where the guy is clearly on shroom. He drops at the end.
Yeah, at the very end, like and that's a character from the first game. That's
Yeah.
I think it's Wyatt. Or like Walt or something. It's a character from the first game. And yeah, like it's him and some woman, and they're about to go into some base, like do some dirt or whatever, and they've got some guns, and then he puts what is clearly a tab of acid on his tongue, and then everything gets all pink and spacey and weird.
There's like a little alien comes across the screen, doesn't it? And he picks it up.
He's like, shh, don't spoil this with me, man. Don't blow up my spot. Like talking to his hallucinations.
Oh, yeah, that trailer was really cool. That looked like an intense game.
I loved the New Order. I thought Wolfenstein: The New Order was an awesome video game.
It
Really
got
great.
A lot of hate online from some far right groups complaining about all of the killing far right people in it. Because killing Nazis is bad now, apparently.
But yeah, so like it had some returning characters from the first one. It looked like it was borrowing a lot of style things from the first one. So it had, you're standing in like an American diner, because this time you go to America, but America's also been taken over by the Nazis, because that's the plot of those games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're standing in a diner, and some Nazi comes in, and he's being kind of sinister but playful, and he's messing around with you, just like there was scenes like that in the first game too. So it looks like it's carrying a lot of that same tone of like, it almost has like an Inglorious Bastard style thing of
Yeah.
skipping between very serious Nazi drama and kind of preposterous bombast. But yeah, and then what else they had? They had Skyrim on the Switch.
Skyrim, which
Yeah.
really cool. It's like Skyrim again, but Skyrim on the Switch seems like a fun thing to have.
Yeah, totally.
Portable Skyrim. Like
Yeah,
Skyrim's
totally.
a fun game.
And then what? Like
Skyrim VR, they had that as well.
Yeah.
That wasn't actually shown there though. That was shown at Sony, right?
It looked weird.
Yeah, because on stage they had Doom VFR, which
Yeah.
is their Doom VR thing, and then also they had Fallout VR, which is or Fallout 4 VR, which is actually all of Fallout 4 in VR.
Damn, that's cool.
The Doom thing is a whole separate thing designed for VR, whereas
Yeah.
the Fallout thing, because I guess in Fallout 4, because you can use VATS, it doesn't matter that maybe you're a bit slowed down because you're in a headset.
Yeah.
So I guess they could just go, yeah, let's just let them play the whole game. Because
Seems
if
cool.
you use VATS and you can pause all the combat, as the point of the game is you can pause all the combat. So then, yeah.
Yeah, Skyrim might be a bit slower, but it looked cool, and it looked like they were actually playing it with controllers rather than with with like the ones or whatever it is, rather than the DualShock, because
Yeah.
there was definitely some weird movement of the hands going on, and they had animated hands in it, so you could
Yeah.
get it up in your face.
But But yeah, like, you know, it was the Bethesda thing. So they had like a 25-minute chunk about ESO and their card game that
Skyrim Legends, right?
Yeah.
Or Elder Scrolls Legends.
Elder Scrolls Legends, yeah.
And then it was like Legends of Skyrim is the new expansion for it.
I didn't even know it was out.
Yeah, it's out, and then the trailer they had at E3 was a new expansion set of cards,
Damn.
Legends of Skyrim or something.
I had not heard anything about that. I'm too focused on Gwent, clearly.
Yeah, it was a Bethesda conference. Every year, they always have that 25-minute chunk about ESO and that card game that is always boring, but I guess they do it because my understanding is ESO is actually doing really, really well for them.
Well, they went to free play. They went free to play for it, and it got a lot better.
And then they did their big like Tamriel Unbound, or whatever it was, that made everything unified, and they put Morrowind in it, and apparently it's actually pretty good now.
Yeah, I know people who have played it and were like, yeah, it's really fun to play.
So then at 6 a.m. was Devolver. Devolver are a publisher of indie games. This is known.
Yeah.
And they had a quick 15-minute press conference.
They had a lot to say about the gaming industry.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually seen it yet, and from what you guys have told me about it, it does seem that they are very rogue. And,
It is...
Not safe for work.
Yeah, it is a very tightly scripted, clearly pre-recorded 15-minute like parody piece on E3 press conferences.
All filmed in the David Lang Memorial Centre, of course.
Yeah, David Lang Memorial Centre, may he rest in peace. But I mean, if he's dead, I've got no idea who's making Killer Instinct now.
But yeah, that was... They had 2 games there, right, in the 15 minutes?
Yeah, they had Ruiner, which looks cool. Yeah.
Looks like a very Bastion. It's not made by Supergiant, is it?
No,
but it
Supergiant
looks
doing their other thing.
Their new thing, which also looks really cool.
Yeah.
But it looks a lot like Bastion or Transistor, if you've played those. Sort of isometric, kind of twin sticky style
but
to it.
It looked like it had a... So, I've never played Transistor, played Bastion, like Bastion. And this is going to sound insane, but it looked like it had more style than Bastion.
Oh, yeah.
And Bastion is a stylish game. Like, it looked...
Definitely. It had the same sort... I'd say, because that's what happened with Transistor as well. They had learned how to make the games, and then they went, let's add some style to it. And Transistor is a lot more stylish than Bastion. And I'd say Ruin is still a bit more stylish than Transistor, but it is on a very similar level. They look very similar.
Yeah, like in there, because it was like neon soaked, like
that kind of
like
thing.
Like Blade Runner, future
Cyberpunky,
sci-fi, like loads of guns and stuff, and every gun's got a ridiculous like this is the Laser Blaster 7000 and stuff like that.
Is it by the people who make Hotline Miami?
No idea.
I feel like it had because obviously that's Devolver, isn't it? But there's something to do related to that. That might be it.
It might just be that it's coming out from Devolver. But yeah, that looked cool.
The Twitch, because I watched the Twitch stream of it.
Yeah.
And the bit that they had after that, they had someone from Devolver. I can't remember his name. They had someone from Devolver come on. And the Twitch stream was really weird and satirical. And for a point, I thought it was actually the Devolver conference still, because I thought there's no way this is but no, it is. It fitted in really well though. And the guy that Devolver got to come on seemed like he was coming on to be weird, like the conference had been, and then he kind of got thrown for a loop.
I may have to look up the archive of that then, because that conference is... You need to watch that conference, Jack.
Yeah, I will. I need to sit down at some point.
Someone gets their arm chopped off.
They did show some really cool stuff in that stream though. They had this thing called... I think none of the games were real games, because he was going, to build the hype, what we're doing is showing you these games that we're never going to release. So they had Frog Smash, which was like Super Smash Bros. Brawl, except everyone is a frog, and you can hit each other with baseball bats, and you can use your tongue to swing around the map. It looked really cool. Like, I'd actually want to play it. And then the other one was, they've stolen a bunch of assets from other games, and every time you play the game, the next game you play is a completely new game. So you play a little bit of one game, and then you go on to a completely new game. So they can't sell it because it's other people's games. But then also they talked about Hotline Miami. I think it was Project Richter, which is what they were doing before 2 came out, and it was a procedurally generated Hotline Miami, and it never came out because it's impossible. When you randomly generate Hotline Miami levels, it's impossible to play because there's because the levels in that game are so like designed to be difficult, but you can do them
because it is effectively a puzzle game. You can play it like an action game, but
exactly.
it's way harder. Whereas if you play it like a puzzle game, where you're going, okay, in the first 5 seconds, I need to throw this at that dude, then run here, then open that door, then do
Exactly,
this.
yeah.
And yeah.
So when you procedurally generate it, you kill the first person, then you get swamped and die.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds kind of mental.
Yeah, it looked cool. They had one guy playing it for like 20 minutes trying to figure it out, just in the background. But that was they showed off some cool stuff outside of the conference as well.
But yeah,
Weird
really,
conference.
really funny conference. I think.
It needs to be watched.
It needs to be watched, and it is appropriate at this point in the games industry where everything is so bloated and weird, and you get half an hour of EA talking about sports games and their weird live action videos and stuff, and then it's appropriate that someone takes the mick out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And then
They did
12
well.
hours after that, Monday at 6 p.m, was
Yep.
the PC Gaming Show, put on by PC Gamer. I think this is the third year,
Yeah.
possibly. It tends to be more freeform, but unlike the other ones that have sort of at this point gone down to just like almost just a pre-recorded video
Yeah.
of trailers. This one has like an MC and like a bunch
Yeah.
of interviews.
Yeah,
and a
day
guy
9,
walking
right?
through it. Yeah, day 9, and he was actually he was really good. Actually,
Kind of charming, right? Yeah, he was...
I thought he's a good MC. He knows what's up, and they got like they're getting more and more respect as a press conference, the
Yeah.
PC Gaming Show. Because the first year they came out, I think they got like the announcement of a new ATI graphics card, or like AMD were like, oh yeah, we're making this particular like graphics card, and that was about all they had.
Well, this year they were sponsored by Intel, right? Or they were working with Intel.
Yeah.
So Intel had their own section where they spoke about how they worked with like Titanfall
Yeah.
and Halo Wars and stuff to bring these games to PC. So I think a lot of it was the Intel conference, but it's not every year. Like it's PC Gamer, so it changes. But
Yeah. Obviously, because it is PC Gamer, they changed what's going on. But I mean, they got Age of Empires Definitive Edition, full
Yeah.
4K remaster of Age of Empires, which I mean, I never played much Age of Empires, but I know a few people who played a lot of it who got quite excited about that.
yeah, I've seen a lot of people be like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool."
Yeah, like it's not just like when Blizzard just like said, yeah, we're gonna do like 4K version of StarCraft, but then also we're gonna do this other version. This is like them straight up going, no, we're completely remastering this whole thing.
Yeah, which is really cool. Age of Empires is a fun game.
Yeah, that is.
As long
cool.
as they keep all the cheats in, because I think that's a big part of it for a lot of people, isn't it?
And I think, they're doing what Blizzard has said about their StarCraft remaster whenever that happens, which is we understand like the meta of the game, so we're keeping in all the glitches and cheats and the weird stuff that people love, because that's part of what that game is now. 20 years later, that's almost all it is to some people.
Yeah. If you get rid of that stuff, it is just a different game at that point, isn't it? And so it would be weird to take
They
it
had
out.
some Total War Warhammer 2 stuff there that looked pretty cool.
They're starting to churn those out, apparently.
Didn't realise that there was a second one. Or it's coming out in like September or something.
Yeah, what, a year and a half after the first one came out? Yeah, man.
Apparently that first one did really well.
Although, from what I've heard about it, apparently it's kind of actually just a really big expansion pack. Like, it upgrades the first one if you've got the first one.
Yeah, so they were saying that at the PC Gaming Conference, which is like, you play the first one, you played number 2, and there's got these 4 new races and all this other stuff. But if you have the first one, you can then put them together and play as like 8 different races, and then there's like a big weird skirmish thing they're putting in as well. That means if you have both, then you get to play as 8 in this big other crazy thing. So expansion pack is probably more reasonable of a term.
Yeah.
But whatever, man. Like
More games for people who love them.
apparently those games are really good, and I really struggle with Total War games because I'm a child.
Yeah.
I can't handle
I'm
that
the
level
same.
of like mil sim. but
I can't
apparently the
handle
Warhammer-
strategy games. Age of Empires is already a bit too much for me.
Yeah, like I'll play some Red Alert 2, but that's mostly because it's got like attack dolphins and stuff. Like it's not really that level of mil sim, It's a bit more silly, but it seems super cool. Jack, should we go to another song?
Yeah, coming up now is Titanium by David Guetta and Sia.
Oh, what an excellent Leiden. That's really good. You know, they removed
good.
that from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, it's like when it's like instead now you get like a sort of, when you open a chest, you get like a minimalist piano, like minor keyboard, and it's like dun 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 dun. or something like that. Like
I guess it's quite long, isn't it?
yeah, and I guess like the whole point of Breath of the Wild is them trying to not be that weird Zelda thing that Zelda kind of became. But yeah, they removed
I think
that.
they just wanted to make a big open world game,
Yeah.
and Zelda was a good way to do it, wouldn't it?
This is it, guys. This is the last third of the video game show we'll ever do.
Oh man,
Well, the URN Video Game Show. Maybe we'll do our own. I kind of want to keep talking about video games once a
break
week.
away.
Rogue show. So Ubisoft was Monday at 9 p.m.
Yep.
So Monday was like the big day with many conferences. But
Yeah.
Ubisoft, what do they have? They had Assassin's Creed again.
Yeah, they showed off
some more,
a
some of
cool
that.
trailer.
Still no Animus in either set of trailers or
Yeah,
gameplay.
which
There wasn't even
nothing.
like a glitch effect.
Which I
'Cause
think
they
is
used to have-
fantastic. I think that's brilliant that they're just taking it away from what it once was, and it's definitely going to be something.
People don't care about the Animus bit,
Yeah,
do they?
this
Like,
is it,
nobody
like,
cares
always
about
been bored.
It was a novel thing in the first one, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, so you're traveling back in time through disguised memories and whatever, and you're doing all of this stuff. But then, I feel like after maybe the second and third one, they were like, well, it's
Well, they
kind of getting a bit
They
boring.
totally knackered the Desmond story.
Yeah, well, because what
Yeah.
they were going to do is they were going to have you were leading up. They were training Desmond to be an assassin, and
Yeah.
then he
Yeah.
was going to be an assassin in the modern day. But I think they realised, and there are hints to it in some of the later Animus stuff. I think it's in 4 when you're walking around, you read things, and they're like, oh well. Corporate wanted us to make a game about the modern day, but we realised you can't do that because of cars and guns.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably actually true because that's what happened in Unity. I've not played the London one. I've not played Syndicate, but in Unity, guns ruin it, which is why I'm glad there's no guns in this new one.
Yeah, because
But-
it's set in ancient Egypt.
Yeah,
There
which
is, however,
exciting.
a bow and crossbow.
There-
A
bow and arrow.
What am I even saying?
But yeah,
Bow and
I'm
arrow,
kind of
sorry.
glad they've gotten rid of guns because modern day, there's no way you'd be able to do that game.
Speaking of things actually
Effectively.
that will ruin it, but people kind of wanted, but didn't really know that they wanted, and they were actually wrong, and they should not talk about it anymore. Crackdown 3. I saw an interview with one of the game designers from Crackdown 3, being like, "Yeah, so obviously our big competitive multiplayer thing, we're using all the cloud tech to destroy the entire city. And I know everyone wanted that in the single player, but if you destroy an entire city in the single player, then we can't tell a story.
Yeah.
So no, we're not going to do that." I'm like, oh yeah, like I was really hyped for. So Crackdown 3 also got shown off as actual
Yeah.
Crackdown 3 at the Microsoft thing. I know this is somewhat what I just thought it was really interesting because I really wanted that sort of city tech to come into the single player. It's like, yeah, we could have done it, but we're not going to because then we can't. Then it's not a video game.
To be fair,
Like,
the
then you-
stories in those first two are kind of trash.
Then you end up with just a flat city and a
Yeah.
bunch of agility orbs in the air that you can't get to.
True.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, Ubisoft, they had that Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle thing with Miyamoto on stage. That was mental.
Because they opened up with that, didn't they? They opened up with that. And
Yeah,
we were
because
like,
they had him come out straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, come out.
Mario XCOM. How weird is that?
It
Still
looks,
disturbing, but looks
it
incredible.
looks like it would be fun to play. It looks like something that you can sit down and just have a lot of fun playing. Like,
Yeah,
that's what it
definitely.
is. It's you take Mario and you combine it with Rabbids. Rabbids are just silly creatures, and it's just
They're the original
funny.
minions. I was saying this when we were watching, wasn't I? They're the original minions.
100%. And then Ubisoft also had Skull and Bones, which looks like they've just
Oh,
taken
man.
all the pirate stuff
Yeah.
from Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and turned it into a video game.
Which I
Yeah.
feel like that was like one of the best things about that game was just being a pirate. And once if you've got the bare bones and you've already had it done, why not
well,
make
if you've got
it?
the Skull and Bones.
Why-
And it was like
It
we
looked
were saying
awesome.
a lot of the mechanics in that are
Oh, yeah.
definitely taken
Yeah, like
straight
there's
from
a
Black
bit in
Flag.
that gameplay trailer where they pull alongside and fire the broadside cannons, and it looks exactly how it looks in Black
Yeah.
Flag when you pull alongside.
All
and
of the
fire
fire. Yeah, it looks, which is good. I mean, that's that they've
Because
got.
that was a really
Let's
fun game.
take the fun bit that we can do and give it to them because
Yeah.
they can't really put that kind of battle in Origins, I guess. So it's like we'll just give them 2 games.
So then, like, what else? They had Assassin's Creed. They had some Far Cry 5 stuff that was cool. They
Yeah.
had big surprise trailer that nobody saw coming. Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah.
Which I
Like-
thought was incredible.
That looked really good. Obviously, that's been hyped for like well over a decade at this point.
And-
like it's
Big game part of it that is going to make it amazing for me. That monkey had a grappling hook.
that monkey did have a grappling.
And I love grappling hooks. But yeah, I thought that looked.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about what the game's going to be like, but it looks cool. So it's
Beyond Good and Evil
world.
1 was a weird game,
Yeah.
a weird universe with a lot of style. It's why it's so beloved and why people want a sequel. So yeah, they had the sequel, but yeah, then they had that Elijah Wood like VR game.
Transference, yeah, which I think looks terrifying. I definitely don't want to play it. I want to see someone play it. I don't want to play it myself.
It looks as what was it? It's like them telling like a story about how they could, in the future they could implement your mind into like some.
It wasn't even the
whole-
future. There was a study in like their idea of it. There was a study in the end of the 90s or the beginning of the the noughties where they discovered you could upload people's memories and like personalities to the digital world. So they've taken that case file and put it into a game for you so you can look at it. So I think they're trying to go for this is real, be scared.
Yeah.
And I bet it'll be a sort of, as you're in it, it's you're getting played with. But
yeah, like really solid show from Ubisoft. I thought really good grip of games, good trailers. I actually really enjoyed it, and it wasn't bogged down by too much like nonsense.
I mean,
solid showing from
They
them.
also sort of came out of the blue and said that they've got the South Park game, which has been delayed several times now, but they also came out and announced that they're going to be bringing South Park to the mobile game.
yeah.
So they're making their South Park mobile game, which is looks like it's going to be like a card game where you can collect the characters from South Park in their
Phone
different...
Destroyer, right?
Yeah, like it's very, very bizarre. But then Sony was
looks fun.
Tuesday at 2 a.m. So Sony was 5 hours after Ubisoft,
Yeah.
and the Sony conference. What do people think of the Sony conference?
It was okay.
Right.
I mean, it's like
They
I feel
didn't
like it
have
was
anything.
lacking some oomph. Really, I feel like there wasn't really something that came out and said, "Oh my gosh, look at this."
They showed off the games that they've already kind of showed off, and they
Yeah.
didn't show off anything about the games that people wanted to see.
I mean,
It's like after last year where they came out and like Andrew House was there and said, right, what we've got is a bunch of wicked stuff for you and a live orchestra and we're just going to go. And they had like 20 games with all scored with a live orchestra and it was awesome. But then the dark secret was that none of them are going to come out for like 5 years.
Yeah.
So this year they didn't have much to show off.
Yeah, because they showed off they started with Uncharted, although they had some sound issues, so I don't actually know how that sounds. But
Yeah.
looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, but that's that new standalone expansion, the Lost Legacy or Last Legacy or whatever it is, which I don't know, looks cool. I think
Then
it's
they
got
went-
2 good characters in it. So.
Yeah. Then they went into God of War,
Yeah,
which
God of War
again
looked
looks
alright.
cool, but they've
Yeah.
showed it off already.
Yeah, like it was a bit more gameplay, a bit more maybe what the story is, and it's God of War, not
Yeah.
God of War 4, not God of War whatever. It's just God of War Ask God of War is what that game is.
Yeah, which it looked cool, but there's a big snake in it with a beard. That looked pretty exciting.
I am into beard snakes.
And then Then they went straight into was it Days Gone?
Yeah,
After that?
more days
Yeah.
gone.
And they had some really weird like set design for each of those. So they started with the falling sand for Uncharted, and then they had the snow for God of War,
Yeah.
then the actual hanging bodies for Days Gone, which was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how I
Yeah.
felt about
Yeah,
that.
it was weird.
So apparently, like a lot of the stuff we saw last year of Days Gone, with like the crazy running away from, like constantly running away and setting traps and the zombies flowing and stuff. Apparently, that was all really, really late game stuff.
Yeah,
And so a lot of the stuff they showed this time round, which was a bit more, it looked more like a normal zombie game,
yeah.
was like a lot more like early game, like the stuff you're actually going to be doing, which I guess made a bit more sense because it
Yeah.
didn't have the same like crazy zombie water physics, I guess is what you have to call it from that.
But like Sony were really trying to pimp out VR as well. They had a lot of stuff of
had a lot of
showcasing
VR
PSVR.
stuff, yeah.
So
Yeah, like PSVR's apparently sold really well, which
Yeah.
is good. 'Cause
Yeah.
it seems to be a pretty robust headset.
Because that's where Skyrim VR was shown, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
What else VR stuff did they show there? They had a few things. Oh, they had that. New Asylum game. Another one where you're a patient in an asylum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember much about it. But again,
Yes.
another one of those. You're in an asylum. Be scared.
Didn't they have? Yeah, it was from the makers of Until Dawn, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, that was,
Yes, it was.
'cause
Yeah.
we were like, that looks a lot like Until Dawn, and then Googled it, and it was like, oh, that's because it's made by the Until Dawn people.
I think it's clearly a good setting for VR games. Is
Yeah.
why am I in this asylum?
Why is this scary? It is because it is. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, it's only fine. Like it didn't have the same crazy bombast
Yeah.
of Microsoft or like just the same solid showings everywhere
I mean,
else.
they-
It was just
Yeah.
like
It was really short as well.
They finished it well. They finished with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
which
but
looks
even,
cool,
it
but-
looks cool, but it was. I didn't think it was anything.
It wasn't like in your face. Oh my gosh!
It was
This
the
is
Batman
insane,
games,
yeah.
but
I mean, it
with
looked,
Spider-Man.
it looked
Yeah.
like the good Spider-Man games from like the early 2000s.
it looks like
Yeah.
a game that I'd really enjoy playing. Unfortunately, I can't. It looks like it would be really fun to play,
Yeah,
but it's still. It was the game. We've already had those Spider-Man games. It's just an updated version of them.
with like Tom Holland's voice.
yeah.
It's not even him. It's
Really?
it's nothing to do with Spider-Man: Homecoming.
really?
So it's an older. Apparently, it's an older Peter Parker
Oh,
in it, and it's like those whoever they were, the bad guys that he asks the Kingpin about. I don't think they're in Homecoming because
Oh,
Homecoming's
cool.
about the Vulture and
it's about Michael Keaton, isn't it? It's Michael Keaton hanging out.
yeah.
So 5 minutes left. Last conference. Nintendo did their Nintendo Direct Tuesday, 5 p.m. 25-minute video.
Yep.
They got out there. They do their pre-recorded video. They just broadcast at a set time, and they call it their spotlight, don't they?
Yeah.
Did you guys watch that?
I've not actually
No,
watched it.
I've
No,
not
I've
got
seen the
around to
bits
seeing it.
from it, but I didn't
Yeah.
watch the entire thing.
Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
fair.
exciting, but
Yeah, I mean, it's like it was a big 4, and then the 4 slid to the side of the screen and it said Metroid Prime, and then underneath it said, "Yeah, we're making."
and it had the weird sound.
Yeah.
That's brought my favourite like meme from the E3 though. From the E3 conference though, is like, what would win, the most powerful console ever made, or the number 4, and just things like that. What would win, or the number 4? Because it's people have lost their mind over this, and they're like, "Oh, Nintendo have won. They've released this game." It's like, no, they've said they're working on Metroid Prime 4. Xbox had 42 games
Not
and the
even made by
most powerful
Retro,
console
that'd be
ever.
Prime 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a whole new team.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that they've announced it, but
Did they show off much Mario Odyssey?
A whole bunch of
They
Mario.
showed off quite a bit of that,
Mario
didn't they?
Odyssey
Yeah.
looks crazy.
really
You can
cool.
possess people, which I believe they call it capture. Hey. Yeah, in Mario Odyssey, you can throw your hat at things and then possess them.
like a frog or a T-Rex. Oh,
yeah,
so
or like
exciting.
other humans.
That's creepy. Yeah, that's
And,
weird.
and the way you possess them is like once you've thrown your hat at them, the hat gets stuck on them and they grow a great big moustache and then you can control them.
And there's different hats.
Yeah, and like different costumes,
Yeah.
and they explained Pimp Bowser because it appears
Yeah.
to be a wedding.
Wedding Bowser.
Yeah, it's like Bowser with his big top hat and his like cane and all his like bling. He's getting hitched.
On a ship.
He's
On a
always,
fly.
he's always on
I
a ship.
really hope you can hijack the ship by throwing your hat at it.
Capture it.
Like, wouldn't that be good? If it's like,
Awesome.
I'm going to save the day by being a ship. Skull and Bones, Mario.
Yeah, I know Nintendo. Like Super Mario looked awesome. It made me really want to get a Nintendo Switch because I want to play that Mario
They
game.
make
It's
good
not-
3D platformers.
Yeah, and it's not coming out anything else, and it looked nuts, and apparently it's quite fun to play. So
Oh, did they have it on the...
yeah, my understanding is you
Yeah.
can go and play it, and some people did, and they said yeah, it's pretty fun to play.
Yeah, what else did Nintendo have? They did have a few things, didn't they? But there's Splatoon 2, I think they announced, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, Splatoon 2 got announced.
It was
last
already
year.
announced,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then they had that. Did they have Monster Hunter World?
No, I think that was Sony.
Is that
wasn't
Sony
it?
had
Yeah.
that? No,
was-
they had Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which looked a lot like Monster Hunter World. but-
Somewhere had Kingdom Hearts 3, didn't
Yeah.
they? I can't remember where, but somewhere did. That was announced. That was spoken about at the conference.
Was
Is- Yeah, I've seen stuff. I've seen people talking about it
That got
since.
announced a while ago.
But they've had at least stuff shown from it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was E3 in a nutshell. We probably missed a bunch of stuff. We definitely did, but
There's a lot of stuff to go through.
it was a big thing. I think we hit the cliff notes.
Yeah, there was nothing mega special. I think
Yeah.
Xbox One X was the biggest thing. Then there's a lot of games. I think it was probably the most like calm E3 of
Yeah,
recent
it
years.
was pretty chill. It wasn't like boring. It was just a good, solid showing of video games.
Yeah.
From some people who are making some cool video games. And there wasn't a Halo. Death Stranding wasn't there.
There
Like,
wasn't many
was-
big like those sort of franchise things, was there? There was obviously Call of Duty, but you get that every year.
Yeah.
There were a lot of those sort of
Yeah.
staple franchises there didn't seem to be, but
I mean, I guess you can't have staple franchises ever, right? You got to make new ones, but yeah. Cool.
yeah, exactly, of course.
That was the last episode of the URN Video Game Show featuring Mark, Jack, Dylan, and Henry. Oh, Henry.
Yeah, it's been a lovely
Pour one
year.
out for our fallen homies.
It certainly has been a very interesting year.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for hosting, Jack. Thanks for running the decks for us, mate.
No worries, mate. We're going to leave you now with peanut butter jelly, but be sure to stay tuned for our sports coverage later on this afternoon.
See you later.
Bye.